All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about the Terence Crawford David Avanesyan fight, where there was some really good fight, better fight than I expected. Good production by BLK Prime, but a glove controversy. And also a little bit of a, sidestep on a question that a lot of people have had a lot of people wanted an answer for. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about the Terence Crawford versus David Avanesyan fight that took place this evening. Fight went pretty much how we expected, but didn't go as I expected. At the same time, we have another glove controversy in boxing. Very, very bizarre thing that took place in the fight. And then we get Terence Crawford answering a question about Errol Spence. So let's talk about those three things. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber or supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you to my guy who's going to pick one out the win, because there's so many of y'all that are such great supporters. Thank you so much to my guy, Terry Schmoot, the king of the trolls. Very, very valuable contributor to the channel. Thank you for your support in the super chat, in the Cash App, and also in the super thanks for the people that support there. And that is a great way in videos like this to support content creators. Little heart and a $sign down in the lower right-hand side corner of the video. But let's get to it. And if you can't do that, hit that like button. Would be greatly appreciated. But let's get into it. And like I said, we're going to talk about three things. Got to keep my mind straight because at this point in time, it is about midnight. So a little bit tired, and I had to record this video 2 times because I was chilling out and didn't realize I had a piece of food on my cheek. So I had to re-record the video. So bear with me, but definitely worth having the conversation. So first things first, Terence Crawford did exactly what I thought he would do as far as the outcome with the fighter David Avanesyan, that everybody knew was not really qualified to fight Terence Crawford, which is getting a 6-round knockout against David Avanesyan, right? The way that the fight proceeded, if you did not actually buy the fight or watch the fight, which I think might be the case with a whole lot of people, it was a fight in which David Avanesyan was coming straight towards Terence Crawford in a high guard. I thought that was interesting because that's similar to the way that Errol Spence Jr. fights. The only problem is that this guy is not nearly as talented as Errol Spence Jr., and he doesn't use a jab really to get in. And he's an orthodox fighter. So the only real comparison is that he fought behind a high guard and was trying to cut off the ring on Terence Crawford, which he did with did consistently, was able to keep Terence Crawford in front of him, was able to, cut off the ring on Terence Crawford and keep the space between himself and Terence Crawford relatively close. The problem for David Avanesyan was that he really didn't have anything to offer him in the way of a jab or setting up shots or any real type of power when he did hit Terence Crawford, which I will tell you, he hit Terence Crawford a good bit, man. Regularly hitting him with, I thought, especially in the Orthodox stance, pretty consistently hitting him with big right hands. Not that it really ever hurt Terence Crawford, but most definitely shook his head, moved his head. So David Avanesyan was definitely able to touch Terence Crawford by forcing the action, pushing the fight on him in that manner. Paulie Malignaggi even commented in the fight, after the fight, like, one has to wonder, with all of the amount of contact that David Avanesyan was able to make on Terence Crawford, and the fact that he was able to keep Terence Crawford right there in front of him for the entire fight, you have to wonder what Terence Crawford would do with Errol Spence Jr., who really is excellent in fighting in that range. If Terence Crawford fights Errol Spence like that, he will be fighting Errol Spence Jr.'s fight, something that he is very, very adept at doing. And if he's getting caught that much by David Avanesyan, and he was getting caught by David Avanesyan in the Orthodox stance and in the Southpaw stance, where you have Errol, who is a Southpaw, and if you have Terence Crawford fighting in the Southpaw stance, Terence Crawford is not necessarily going to have the same advantage that he would over most of the fighters he had if he's going to do that in the Southpaw stance. It looked like he got hit more, though, in that Orthodox stance. And honestly, to me, it doesn't feel like Terence Crawford is really that comfortable in the Orthodox stance, or at least he's more susceptible to getting hit in the Orthodox stance. And that may be something that Terence Crawford is able to take advantage of. However, like I said, with David Avanesyan, not a lot of problem there. Even though Terence Crawford did get hit, you could tell the entire time that he was wearing the guy down, going to the body. And eventually he was going to really hit him with a big, hit him with that right counter right hand, the same one that he hurt Kell Brook with, and he was looking for that uppercut that he hurt Sean Porter with, but in setting up that uppercut, behind that uppercut came the right hand, which is the lead hand in the front for Terence, and he wound up stopping him. However, right before the stoppage, and this is where I'm saying that there was some interesting goings on with Terence Crawford's gloves. His gloves popped open. I mean, literally popped open. They like started popping out at the seams where you literally could see the stuffing coming out of Terence Crawford's gloves. So that is something that, I think people might want to look into. Like, that is a very, very unusual circumstance for the seams on your gloves to be that faulty, where in just 6 rounds you can literally start having stuffing coming out of your gloves. And so, I'm not going to say I'm not an expert on gloves, but I would have thought at the very least, once you start having stuffing coming out of your gloves, that the referee would have made you change gloves, but didn't do that. Let him continue. And as soon as he continued, Terence Crawford wound up hitting him with a big shot and getting him out of there. And David Avanesyan didn't know where he was. Now, when the fight ended, obviously, Terence Crawford was asked about the fight with Errol Spence Jr., and he gave a non-answer. He said, look, this fight with BLK Prime is a one-fight deal. I'm a free agent. We can go back and revisit that fight, but hopefully we can get around to making big fights. So, and he put that plural on that. And he's in the near future. He put that plural on fights, right? As in, he might be looking at multiple big fights that he can, that he may be able to get into. So he sounded very, very non-committal as far as it went with fighting Errol Spence Jr. And now I'm not gonna go get all out of whack or whatever and judge, the Errol Spence Jr. fight on what happened with David Avanesyan. Because like I said, again, David Avanesyan is just not that big a level of fighter. And Terence Crawford may have decided to let him stay in front of him more than he may let Errol Spence Jr. Stand in front of him. But if that's not the case, Terence Crawford was throwing a lot of jabs, and David Avanesyan was coming in with a high guard, but he really wasn't leading with a jab. So if he's able to stay that close to Terence Crawford for the duration of that fight, you better, like I say, I go back to what I've been saying. I think Terence Crawford needs a knockout to win against Errol Spence Jr. He was, however, very, very active, threw a lot of punches, and it was a fun fight. It was a fun fight to watch, but again, it was a bum bash. So not really know what to take out of him knocking the guy out. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.